Am I the jerk for ignoring my mom asking me to get involved with her new family after I got rich? Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to turn on notifications. My mom left my dad when I was 17 years old. I'm now 29 and had a new boyfriend literally straight away. We all suspected that she was cheating with this dude beforehand, but there was never any proof, and she, even to this day, refuses to admit it. She had 2 more kids with this guy. When my mom and dad broke up, I moved out to live with my dad, who had moved back in with his parents. The major reason for this was because she told me to leave as I kept fighting with her new dude. I really did not want to deal with the new guy in my mom's life, and I was really upset that she didn't give a care about how much pain my dad was in. When she told me to leave, something in me changed, and I am still unable to forgive her. That solidified because my 14-year-old sister stayed with my mom for a year and then begged to come live with my dad because she hated it so much in my mom's place. And my sister and my mom were close. So for my sister to feel that way, it must have been bad. Since I was 18 years old, my grandparents kept pushing me to start a business because I like to tinker around, and I had built a few specialized tools for a niche construction industry that my dad was in, and they saw potential in me. They gave me a lot of money as an investment. Actually, they remortgaged their house. That's how much they believed in me. And basically, I majorly lucked out and managed to land some national contracts at 24 years old that turned into more than a few $1 million worth over a few months when the business boomed. The profit trajectory has risen since then, and basically I'm living a life I never thought that I would have. I am rich. I moved my dad, my sister, and my grandparents out to the East Coast a couple of years back, and we've started a new life. I'm surrounded by people who see and saw the best in me, and I'm grateful for so much because I was seriously messed up after my mom split our family apart. For the last couple of years or so, my mom has been on my case to reunite with her. She gets increasingly more insistent that I go visit her and her boyfriend and kids, and keeps trying to guilt me because my sister has a much more privileged life now, and my younger 2 half-siblings don't. She keeps telling me that even if I don't forgive her, I should look out for the kids as they're innocent in all of this. So am I the jerk because day to day I have no interest in helping out her or her new family? In my opinion, she made her bed so she can lay in it, but the guilt eats me alive sometimes. I just can't forgive her. Am I the jerk for ignoring my mom asking me to get involved with her new family after I got rich? There were some interesting comments that the OP responded to, one of which quoted the part that said, for the last couple of years or so, my mom has been on my case to reunite with her. The comment said, your mom had no interest in a relationship with you until it would benefit her and her new family. If you want to set your half-siblings up with a college fund that your mom can't touch, go for it. If not, don't feel guilty about it. Your mom has made this mess and you have no obligation to her. You have no reason to feel guilty for your success. But the OP responded back not with trying to fix the guilt of setting up her half-siblings, but instead said this: yeah, I keep reminding myself of this, but in a weird way, I feel like I want to earn her love back. I know she made her choices when I was a kid, but I do feel like maybe if I could slowly re-get in contact with her, she'll magically make up for when I was 12. But I also know that's not really reality. That to me sounds like a recipe for mass disappointment. Even if somehow the OP was able to directly communicate what that desire was to her mom and her mom heard and understood that, I have a feeling that would just turn out to be some weird transactional thing where the mom says, yeah, honey, I love you. About that money though. And the concept of having to re-earn the mother's love when the OP didn't even do anything wrong in the first place is just sad. I mean, even if she did do something to lose the affection of the mom, that's still sad, but in this case, it's even worse. One other question somebody asked was, out of curiosity, is she just as intent on trying to repair the relationship with your sister, who is not rich? And the OP said, she's also reached out to my sister too. My sister absolutely hasn't responded and has no interest in talking to my mom ever again. She really felt abandoned by her. I don't know if you can ever really undo the feeling of being abandoned. I mean, once you are abandoned, you are abandoned. For the rest of time, a lot of people will just constantly be waiting for the next time that they do get abandoned with that person. And sometimes that even bleeds over into relationships with other people because how much it hurt to be abandoned by the person they cared about so much, in this case, their mother. So if you were in this situation, how would you handle it? And jerk or not a jerk, and why? Am I the jerk for kicking my friend out of my bedroom so my wife could take a nap? I am a 28-year-old male and I have a 27-year-old wife who works full-time as a CNA while she's in school to become an autopsy technician. She works a lot. She is constantly picking up extra shifts, working doubles and even triples. She does all of that on top of going to school full-time. Because of that, she often takes a nap after work. Well, yesterday, I had a friend over who I will call E, and my wife and E do not get along as E makes her uncomfortable, but she and I don't prevent one another from seeing friends just because one of us doesn't like the other's friend. So, E was over at my and my wife's house playing video games when my wife calls to tell me she's on her way home from work. She sounds exhausted, and I asked her if she felt okay to drive, and if not, I'd come pick her up from work and go back together to get the car later. She said that she's fine to drive and that she'll be seeing me later. I said okay. I told her I loved her. E and I go back to playing video games. Is it worth mentioning that the only TV my wife and I have is in our bedroom? I was laying on the bed playing, and E was sitting in my desk chair. About 15 minutes or so later, I hear my wife come in the house and call out to me to let me know that she was home. I come into the living room and give her a kiss. She all but collapses into my arms, exhausted to the point that she couldn't even walk to the bedroom. I ask her if she's okay, and she says, yeah, it's just a long day at work. I really need a nap. I nodded and told her to come lay down in bed. When we get to the bedroom, I politely tell E that he needed to leave as my wife was exhausted and we could play later that night. E asks why he needs to leave and why my wife just can't sleep while he and I keep playing. I explained that it was just a game and that my wife and her needs came first. E then asked why can't my wife just sleep on the couch? I told him I wasn't making her sleep on the sofa because he wanted to keep playing games. E gets pissed. He slams his controller on the dresser and goes to leave. But before he does, he turns to my wife and tells her,
well, I'll bet you're happy he always feels like he has to pick you over everyone else.
He leaves and slams the door on the way out. My wife turns to me and starts apologizing, saying she just could have slept on the couch. I tell her no, she couldn't have, and I tell her to get some rest. Later that night, my other friends are blowing up my phone, saying things along the lines of bros before girls and saying that it was rude to kick E out just so my wife could sleep. All of my married friends, however, are on my side, saying my wife's needs come first before my friends. E is now saying that he won't speak to me unless I apologize. So, am I the jerk for kicking my friend out of my bedroom so my wife could sleep? It seems pretty ridiculous that the friend would be that upset when the wife is literally about to fall over. She can't even stand from what it sounds like. But what that really says is there's some sort of resentment that's been building inside of E for a long time about the relationship that he has seen, observed, and felt between the OP and his wife, and maybe it has made him feel excluded. Maybe before the OP was married, he was spending more time with E, and E resents the fact that he's prioritizing his wife over E playing video games in their room. The reason I say that is because you wouldn't really just blow up like that if you were denied video games casually and it was just the first time this has ever happened. The part that is odd to me though is why wouldn't E just say, hey, yeah, let's let her sleep in here and let's go do something else? Because if it wasn't really about the video games, if it was just about hanging out, they could have hung out somewhere else that wasn't the bedroom, unless it was implied that, I guess, the OP was going to stay with the wife in the bedroom. But either way, no matter how you slice it, it seems like this has been on E's mind for a while, and this moment was kind of just a catalyst to let it explode and say how he really felt. But let me know what you would do if you're in this situation, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for how I reacted when my husband threw away our daughter's kitchen tools that I bought her? My daughter Liz is 15 and she loves cooking. She began discovering new meals after she became vegan. She was a very picky eater in the past. I encouraged her to cook her own food, but my husband hates it, although she still sits at the table with us, but he thinks that her having different food on the table is disrespectful to the family and she should just be eating what we eat. I thought that was ridiculous and asked him just to let her be. He got more agitated and said that Liz wasn't allowed to use any tools in our kitchen if she decides to cook for herself, since he paid for everything the kitchen has. I fought back on this decision, but he stood firm. I decided to just go out and buy her all the tools she needed to make her meals. She buys her own groceries groceries, so I don't have to worry about that. Last night I was out and Liz called me crying, saying that my husband threw away all the tools that I got her to prevent her from cooking. I was fuming. I went home and started arguing with him, telling him those weren't his tools. He argued that Liz was cooking in his kitchen and that he already didn't authorize that. I blew up and went off on him, telling him that that's ridiculous, and he was just looking for excuses to prevent Liz from cooking. He yelled that Liz is acting like a spoiled brat, and that I repeatedly let her disrespect us and table manners by letting her cook her own food instead of being grateful and eating what's already on the table. We fought some more, then I went upstairs. He followed me saying I'm avoiding responsibility and that I'm encouraging Liz to become selfish and egotistical instead of appreciating what's in front of her. I refused to talk to him, and he said I should apologize for reacting by yelling at him and calling him names. So to answer a few questions, why I let my daughter buy her own groceries? 2 reasons. 1 is that she uses the money I give her to buy groceries, and 2 is that she knows what she needs to cook meals and has more knowledge with vegan products, so she shops by herself, and sometimes I take her with me if it's a new place. And number 2, is there a cultural factor? We're from Latin America, and my husband is the sole provider for my family. Number 3, why can't the whole family eat vegan? Because I have younger kids and they don't eat vegetables. So am I the jerk for how I reacted when my husband threw away our daughter's kitchen tools that I bought her? I can't understand why in certain families it ends up being like this sometimes, where they hate one member of the family being vegan, vegetarian, or whatever so much that they try and squash it out in any way that they can, including situations like this where the person is entirely self-sufficient. I mean, the daughter is not a financial strain, it sounds like. The daughter is not getting in the way. She's still respectful by sitting and eating at the dinner table with them. It just seems weird to care that much that you would go and throw away tools. I mean, that's more of a financial waste than anything else. One of the top responses says, honestly, I'd make that man regret his words. If he's demanding you eat all the same food, then I'd go out and buy all vegan food. Make him adapt to his daughter's diet, and maybe after a few meatless nights, he'll realize that he prefers letting her cook her own food. She's 15. That is valuable and an essential life skill he's preventing her from developing. Why is he so jealous of her eating vegan food? I'd completely stop buying animal products and fill the fridge and cabinets with all vegan options that my daughter would eat, and then start cooking that food for him. Now the whole family can eat together as one and he can stop complaining. Malicious compliance is absolutely called for here. I have a feeling that that situation would turn into a much bigger fight, but let me know what you think down below, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for not wanting to pay for my father's medical bills? I'm a 29-year-old female. My parents divorced when I was about 10 years old, and I have no contact with my father after a year because he made the choice to prioritize his new family. His stepson, who's 33, and eventually his children with new wife, over my brother and I. No visitation after he got remarried at all. When we called to ask when he was going to visit us, he would just say that he was busy. Before the divorce, I was literally daddy's little girl, his beloved golden child. No joke. I thought my father was the best, and I wanted to marry a man like him when I grew up. So the fact that he just dropped my brother and me off has caused this deep-seated wound in my heart, which I will never forgive him for causing. He never paid child support, so my mother had to support my brother and I as a single parent. She decided not to take him to court as she never wanted anything to do with him again. Parents had 50-50 custody. However, 18 years is a long time, and thanks to my mother's love and care for us, I have already forgotten about him and moved on with my life. Same goes for my brother. We have both grown up to live comfortably in our lives, take care of our mother, and love her to no end. The story is that this morning, his stepson, the 33-year-old one, contacted me via Facebook and said he wanted to talk to me regarding our father. And I was confused at first, and then remembered that, yes, I had someone like that in my life. He told me that our father has a medical condition and treatment costs a lot of money. He sent together with screenshots of medical reports, and that it would be nice if we could pay his bills, and also that my father wanted to speak to my brother and I. I told him that man lost the rights to be my father when he decided not to have any contact with us, and also that his father's medical bills are none of my concern. So, as his children, you shouldn't go around harassing random people for money. Also, all those years of unpaid child support could be used to cover his medical expenses, after which he called me a vengeful, heartless bee, to which I just replied with a smiling emoji and blocked him. I talked to my mom about this, and she said while I have the right to be angry with him, he is still my father and is unwell, so I could help them out a bit. I told her no way in hell am I going to pay for his bills? He has his children to pay for it, so let them settle it. He made his bed, now let him sleep in it. Was I the jerk here? So the father didn't reach out to the OP himself? He sent the stepson to do this? I mean, he's either that sick in this whole medical situation that he couldn't reach out himself, or he just couldn't face the OP and had to have someone go in his place to ask for money with these screenshots of the bills and everything. If that's the case, that seems like a very cowardly way to go about it. There was actually an update the OP did in response with a few more clarifications saying, I have never acknowledged him as my stepbrother because my father went no contact after being together with his new wife. Regardless, your father found out and discarded you, and as far as you know, has never made any attempt to see you or talk to you in 18 years. And the response from the OP was, actually he didn't, but I did contact him to invite him for my 21st birthday party, which in my country is a milestone. Just that small little hope that he would actually be there that one time. Just once I wanted him to be there. He told me that it was his daughter's 9th birthday on the same weekend, so we needed to be with her instead. My heart shattered into a trillion pieces. I decided then that even if this man died, I would not attend his funeral, and also hope that he would suffer the worst punishment in hell. In response to the question of, on a separate note, your mother is a bit of a jerk for not pursuing child support. It's not for her, it's for you and your brother, and she wants you to contribute. Nope, she wanted nothing to do with him. Wouldn't even let any of his money go to supporting your upbringing so you can do the same. The OP said, my mother did not want to face him at all because of the physical and mental toll that he took on her, and she faced that when she was married to that man. It happened right in front of my eyes, but I chose to ignore it as I was daddy's little girl. He always treated me like a princess, lots of love and pampering. So I believed that he could do no wrong and that she deserved it, which is why I totally understand why she didn't want anything to do with him. I still feel extremely bad for ignoring her pain like that and will continue to feel bad for the rest of my life. Besides, her parents are well off and they supported her without any qualms, so money was never an issue for us. The most important thing that I see here is that the OP should decide if she wants to do this or not herself, without the influence of her mother saying that she should do this or should do that. That doesn't matter. What matters is if the OP wants to do it on her own or not. But if it was you, what would you do in this situation? Jerk or not a jerk, and why? When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories in this series, use the playlist at the top of the description. And next time you live stream, use the cream of the crop music. Search for Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever music platform you use for copyright-free music to use for your stream. It's free, Cream of the Stream. Either way, thanks a lot for listening. We'll see you guys next time.